Watch the map. In Massachusetts, the numbers are shifting, and the stakes are measured in billions, in ballot years, and in the price of a front door. Start with the scoreboard. In September 2025, the typical U.S. home value sat at $364,891, essentially unchanged year over year, 0.0% growth. Massachusetts didn't stand still. In September 2025, closed sales in the state rose 4.8% for single-family homes and 6.4% for condos, even as sellers navigated a thin market and buyers chased anything priced just right. The median sales price for a single-family home reached $654,500, up 4.7% year over year. Condo prices reached a median of $525,000, a 1% gain in the same window. Inventory for single-family homes fell 4.2% from September 2024, while condo inventory grew 5.1%. New single-family listings climbed 7.5%, and new condo listings jumped 13.3%. The signal heading into fall was clear: more options than last year, but still not enough and still competitive. Pull back to the map of wealth. Boston is one of 9 U.S. metros with a housing market valued above $1 trillion. New York leads at $4.60 trillion. Los Angeles follows at $3.90 trillion. San Francisco sits at $1.90 trillion. Boston's market is valued at $1.30 trillion, the same figure as Washington, D.C. Miami comes in at $1.20 trillion. Chicago at $1.20 trillion. Seattle at $1.10 trillion, and San Diego at $1 trillion. In June, the total U.S. housing market was valued at $55.10 trillion. Since February 2020, Boston's housing market alone has added $400 billion in value. Research signals that smaller markets are driving more of today's gains, and the concentration of growth within the very largest metros has pulled back. Excluding New York's $260 billion addition, the rest of the trillion-dollar metros combined lost $18 billion over a year-long stretch, and together those 9 metros contributed 28.1% of one year's national increase in housing wealth, below their 31.9% share of total housing wealth. The takeaway is not abstract. The gravitational pull of housing wealth is shifting at the margins, and Massachusetts towns far from the core are finding room to run. The towns tell the story. Over the 12 months ending September 2027 to 5, Norwell led Massachusetts by dollar gains. Typical home value, $127,653. 1-year price change, up $53,660, a 5.5% jump. 5-year change, up $360, $8,108, or 55. Egremont in the Pittsfield area took the number 2 spot, $805,000 typical value, up $51,686 in a year, a 6.9% surge, and up $341,259 over 5 years, a 73.6% jump. Weston, west of Boston, posted the third largest dollar gain, $2,220,602 typical value, up $48,044 in a year, a 2.2% lift, and up $832,165 in 5 years, a 59.9% rise. Wenham on the North Shore ranked 4th, $140,132 typical value, up $46,683 in a year, 4.7% higher, and up $383,462 in 5 years, 58.4% higher. Manchester by the Sea hit $1,280 to $9,884, up $46,657 in a year, a 3.8% increase, and up $473,998 in 5 years, a 58.1% climb. That backdrop looks smooth at the high end, but the pattern is broader. Wellesley registered a typical value of $1,969,343, up $42,206 in a year, a 2.2% change and up $640,686 in 5 years, 48.2% higher. Lincoln's typical value was $1,518,768, up $36,647 year-over-year, 2.5% higher, and up $515,631 over 5 years, 51.4% higher. Sherborne posted $1,209,864, up $35,985 for the year, 3.1% higher, and up $391,299 over 5 years, 47.8% higher. Dover at $1,746,599 rose $35,329 in a year, a 2.1% change, and $554,678 across 5 years, 46.5% higher. Concord recorded $1,439,337, up $34,801 year-over-year, a 2.5% lift, and up $510,696 in 5 years, 55.0% higher. Even the traditional heavyweights kept moving. Newton's typical value reached $199,949, up $34,506 in a year, a 2.4% increase, and up $417,534 across 5 years, 38.6% higher. Boxford ticked to $1,470,977, up $33,762, a 3.3% annual gain, and $346,856 over 5 years, 49.5% higher. Gloucester at $759,274 rose $30,224 in a year, a 4.1% increase, and $263,332 across 5 years, 53.1% higher. Look west, and the tempo changes again. West Stockbridge hit $670,106, up $20,213, a 3.1% annual gain, 5-year change, $278,653, up 71.2%. Monterey posted $729,616, up $28,985 in a year, 4.1% higher, and up $248,486 across 5 years, 51.6% higher. Mount Washington stood at $621,035, up $30,308, a 5.1% jump, and up $204,941 over 5 years, 49.3% higher. Tyringham, $694,254, up $21,923, a 3.3% increase, and up $216,797 across 5 years, 45.4% higher. Adams, the bargain outlier on this list, recorded $263,580, up $20,736 year-over-year, an 8.5% surge, and up $105,680 over 5 years, 66.9% higher. North Shore and Near Coast markets stayed hot but uneven. Marblehead, with a typical value of $10,024,768, rose $19,002 in 1 year, a 1.9% gain, and $305,605 over 5 years, 42.5% higher. Danvers reached $721,646, up $17,993, a 2.6% increase, and up $202,139 in 5 years, 38.9% higher. Topsfield stood at $961,242, up $19,580 in a year, 2.1% higher, and up $306,852 in 5 years, 46.9% higher. Essex posted $899,407, up $24,000, $711, a 2.8% gain, and up $302,208 over 5 years, 50.6% higher. Wenham's jump $46,683 in 1 year was the standout among these neighbors, with that 4.7% annual climb anchored by a 5-year rise near 60%. South Shore towns stacked up their own gains. Cohasset at $1,390,509 rose, $22,874, a 2.1% yearly lift, and $487,260 over 5 years, up 53.9%. Situate's typical value was $976,398, up $20,586 in a year, 2.2% higher, and up $337,741 in 5 years, 52.9%. Marshfield recorded $774,194, up $19,792, 2.6% higher, and up $270,096 over 5 years, 53.6% higher. Duxbury reached $1,078,765, up $24,087 in a year, 2.3% higher, and $410,180 across 5 years, 61.4% higher. Pembroke rose to $648,314, up $17,750 in a year, 2.8% higher, and $198,723 in 5 years, 44.2% higher. Hanson stood at $598,383, up $17,658, 3.0% higher, and $181,075 over 5 years, 43.4% higher. West Bridgewater hit $585,266, up $19,315, 3.4% higher, and $173,334 in 5 years, 42.1% higher. Norwell's $53,660 one-year leap 5.5% dash punctuated the cluster. To the north and west of Boston, more data points pushed the same direction. Andover at $980,274 rose $22,976, a 2.4% annual increase, and $326,789 over 5 years, 50.0% higher. Merrimack, $653,640, up $22,792, 3.6% higher, and up $208,414 in 5 years, 46.8% higher. Methuen, $609,720, up $20,348, 3.5% higher, and up $197,928 in 5 years, 48.1% higher. Lawrence's typical value of $500,340 rose $17,738 in a year, 3.7% higher, and $178,378 over 5 years, 55.4% higher. Hamilton, $878,754, up $22,767 in a year, 2.7% higher, and $260,228 across 5 years, 42.1% higher. Newbury, $925,253, up $22,306, 2.5% higher, and $332,665 in 5 years, 56.1% higher. Rowley, $787,048, up $18,492, 2.4% higher, and $249,194 over 5 years, 46.3% higher. West Newbury, $942,399, up $19,854, 2.2% higher, and $321,613 in 5 years, 51.8% higher. Metro Boston's inner ring shows how much headroom prices found. Winchester posted $1,514,768, up $19,899, a 1.3% annual lift, and $430,901 over 5 years, 39.8% higher. Needham reached $1,513,544, up $22,330, 1.5% higher, and $486,630 in 5 years, 47.4% higher. Westwood hit $1,211,197, up $23,479, 2.0% higher, and $400,772 across 5 years, 49.5% higher. Lexington saw $1,562,212, up $26,790 in a year, 1.7% higher, and $485,894 in 5 years, 45.2% higher. Dover, Lincoln, Sherborne, and Wellesley each above $1.20 carried 5-year increases between roughly 47% and 54%. Weston's 5-year gain, $837,165, stands in its own category. Worcester County's edge towns also moved. Grafton's typical value, $600,841, rose $17,485 in a year, 3.0% higher, and $197,506 across 5 years, 49.0% higher. Sutton, $627,201, up $17,573, 2.9% higher, and $215,617 over 5 years, 50.4% higher. Berlin, $655,085, up $21,575, 3.4% higher, and $198,666 in 5 years, 43.5% higher. Ashland, just over the line into the Boston Metro, posted $667,000, $142, up $18,043 in a year, 2.8% higher, and $209,748 over 5 years, 45.9% higher. In the Pioneer Valley, East Hampton's typical value hit $422,674, up $18,765, a 4.6% annual jump, and $128,882 in 5 years, 43.9% higher. In Hampton County, Longmeadow recorded $522,062, up $20,563 in a year, 4.1% higher, and $159,919 over 5 years, 44.2% higher. West Stockbridge and Adams, on opposite ends of the price spectrum, share 5-year gains above 66%. That tells you how much smaller markets in Berkshire County have repriced. Signals suggest this dispersion aligns with the broader pattern that smaller markets are capturing a larger share of the new housing wealth, even as the largest markets still hold the lion's share of the base. Why is this happening? The causes are not complicated, but they are compounding. The statewide market is short on homes. In September 2025, single-family inventory was down 4.2% year over year. In August 2027, single-family inventory also shrank, down 3.3% year over year, even as new single-family listings rose 1.3% in that month. With fewer total choices and more new for-sale signs than last summer, buyers stepped in, especially when pricing hit a Goldilocks balance. In August, closed sales slid 4.6% for single-family homes and 0.5% for condos. 1 month later, the pendulum swung the other way. September closed, sales rose 4.8% for single-family homes and 6.4% for condos. Momentum here is sensitive to pricing strategy and the pace of fresh inventory. Mortgage costs matter. Higher rates slowed growth, and some places saw prices dip in the broader national context. In Massachusetts, the August data showed different behavior by property type. Single-family median prices were up 4.6% year-over-year to $680,000 in August. Condo prices, by contrast, fell 3.1% year-over-year to $540,000 in August. Then, in September, the condo median rose to $525,000, up 1% year-over-year. Buyers did not retreat, they recalibrated. The rise in new listings, up 7.5% for single-family and 13.3% for condos in September, net ratages. That demand, but total single-family inventory still moved lower. That is what scarcity looks like. Production is the deeper constraint. Estimates point to a need to build 220,000 homes in Massachusetts by the end of the decade to meet demand. More than 90,000 have been completed or entered development since Governor Maura Healey took office. In 2024, Massachusetts ranked 6th lowest among states in per capita building permits. That ranking doesn't just describe a problem, it compounds it. With the pipeline still trailing the need, the market leans back on price to ration access, and a $50, $1,660 year-over-year jump in a place like Norwell becomes possible. Policy is moving into that gap. A bill filed as S11937 in the Senate and H356 in the House would give every city and town in Massachusetts the option to impose a fee on luxury real estate transfers. The proposed threshold is $1,000, or a county's median sale price for a single-family home, whichever applies locally, with that figure as a floor. Communities could choose to set it higher. The money would go straight into local affordable housing trust funds. This is about revenue, yes, but it's also about leverage, finding local capital to close construction gaps in markets where year-round housing is vanishing. The push is widespread and specific. 19 cities and towns have filed home rule petitions to pursue a local option transfer fee. Those proposals, taken together, could raise more than $200 million annually. Somerville has filed. Concord has filed. Martha's Vineyard and Nantucket have filed. On Martha's Vineyard, state estimates point to the need for 740 additional year-round units across the 6 island towns to meet the current need. More than 2,700 naturally occurring year-round units are at risk of being lost to the luxury market if nothing intervenes. The island's planners describe a recruitment and retention crisis for essential services. For a hospital, for a school, for first responders, a year-round unit is not a statistic. It is capacity. A short human moment underscores the urgency. A real estate professional with 3 decades of experience on Martha's Vineyard told lawmakers she first testified in favor of a transfer fee in 2004. 20 years later, the stakes have only intensified. Her plea was simple. Communities are worried about what happens without this tool. The state's official designation of seasonal communities was expanded by a housing law in 2024, recognizing places with large concentrations of second homes and substantial seasonal swings. Many Cape and Islands towns have moved quickly to adopt the designation. But by itself, a designation doesn't build or preserve inventory. The argument from these places is straightforward. Without a meaningful revenue source, they cannot fully realize the policy's promise. The opposing view is on the table. Statewide real estate trade groups have argued that a transfer fee could harm the market and be an inefficient way to raise revenue. Cities, meanwhile, are watching federal funding fade. Somerville's mayor warned of the loss of American Rescue Plan Act funds and other federal sources, and of shrinking revenue from development linkage fees as new projects slow. The math is tight. Dropping revenues meet rising needs, and local budgets must find a bridge between the $1,000 threshold on a transfer and a 2-bedroom that has to be habitable and year-round. Returning to the numbers on the ground, August and September 2025 offered a 2-month window into buyer behavior. In August, single-family closed sales fell 4.6% year-over-year, and condos dipped 0.5%. Newly listed single-family homes rose 1.3%, but the total single-family inventory still decreased by 3.3%. Condo new listings rose 2.9%, and condo inventory ticked up 0.9%. Prices split by type. Single-family at $680,000, up 4.6%. Condos at $540,000, down 3.1%. 1 month later, the tone shifted. In September, single-family closed sales rose 4.8%, and condo closed sales rose 6.4%. The median single-family price landed at $654,500, up 4.7%. The median condo price hit $525,000, up 1%. New listings surged further, 7.5% for single-family homes and 13.3% for condos. Yet total single-family inventory was 4.2% lower than a year earlier. Condo inventory rose 5.1% compared to September 2024. Translation: when pricing was balanced, buyers were there, and competition remained real. Multiple offer situations did not vanish. They became selective. Selectivity shows up in town-level numbers. Wellesley's $1,969,343 typical value rose $42,206 in a year, while nearby Needham's $1,513,544 rose $22,323. In the same metro, Winchester's increase was $19,899, and Lexington's was $26,790. Contrast that with Adams' $20,736 increase on a base of $263,580. Egremont's $52,686 jump 6 times 2 pounds came off a typical value of $805,000, while Weston's $48,044 increase, 2.2%, came off a typical value of $2,220,602. Price levels and percentage moves diverge, but the common denominator is pressure. On the coast, Gloucester's $30,224 one-year gain brought its typical value to $750, $274, as Situate's $20,586 upped its typical value to $976,398. Duxbury's $24,087 increase pushed to $1,078,765. Marshfield's $19,792 rise made $774,194 the new normal. These are not isolated data points, they cluster. Essex County, towns like Manchester's $46,657 jump, and Wenham's $46,683 show that North Shore pricing can move in tandem when inventory is thin and Boston's gravitational pull remains strong. Here is the hinge. If Massachusetts truly needs 220,000 homes by the end of the decade, then more than 90,000 completed or in the development pipeline since Governor Healey took office represent a start, not a finish. In 2024, the state's sixth lowest ranking for per capita building permits signals headwinds that zoning reform alone may not overcome. The proposed transfer fee's $1,000 or county median threshold is designed to target luxury transactions. The funds would not fix the permitting pipeline or shave months off project timelines, but they would put dollars into local trust funds that can be deployed on land acquisition, preservation, down payment assistance, or gap financing without waiting for the next budget cycle or a federal grant that may not come. The macro backdrop adds a twist. In June, the U.S. housing market tallied $55.10 trillion in value. Boston's $1.30 trillion share places it among only 9 metros at that scale, yet the latest read of gains shows that outside New York's $260 billion addition in a single year, the trillion-dollar giants collectively lost $18 over that same period. Together, they only delivered 28.1% of the national increase in housing wealth, while holding 31.9% of the total. Meanwhile, in Massachusetts, Adams logged an 8.5% year-over-year rise, and Egremont's 5-year growth hit 73.6%. West Stockbridge's 5-year gain reached 71.2%. A narrative emerges. Smaller and mid-sized markets have flexibility to accelerate even as the engines of the largest metros idle. The policy calendar injects another variable. A possible 2026 ballot proposal would authorize cities and towns to limit permissible rent increases, but If that measure reaches voters and passes, landlords and tenants across places like Somerville, Cambridge, and Boston would navigate a new cap regime. The interplay with a local option transfer fee would matter. One policy aims to stabilize existing tenants, the other seeks to fund new or preserved supply. Both would land in a market where single-family inventory in September 2025 was still 4.2% lower year over year, where single-family prices pushed to $654,500, and where condo prices vacillated between $540,000 in August and $525,000 in September. Zoom back to the lived experience of buying and selling. In August, buyers walked into open houses knowing closed sales were down 4.6% year over year for single-family homes, but new listings were up 1.3%. By September, with closed sales up 4.8% for single-family and 6.4% for condos, those same buyers had to act faster or stretch further. Sellers who priced into the lane between too high to draw traffic and too low to leave money on the table found the sweet spot. This Goldilocks band is visible in the towns that moved most. Norwell's 5.5% one-year jump on a seven-figure base, Manchester's 3.8% rise at $1,289,884, Adams' 8.5% rise at $263,580, and Egremont's 6.9% rise at $805,000. Multiple offer situations persisted where pricing was tight and condition was right. Homes stayed active longer in some cases, but they did not languish when value and presentation aligned. In the North Shore corridor, tied to the Boston-Cambridge-Newton MA-NH Metro, Marblehead's 12400 $7168 typical value, Danvers' $721,646, Topsfield's $961,242, and Essex's $899,407 outline a band of communities where one-year dollar gains from $17,993 to $24,711 landed atop five-year increases between 42.1% and 53.1%. In the Worcester MACT Metro, Grafton's $600,841 and Sutton's $627,201 slid upward by roughly $17,500 each in a year, while Berlin's $655,085 rose by $21,000. In the Springfield MA Metro, East Hampton's $422K $674 and Longmeadow's $522K $60 added $18K $765 and $20K $563 respectively in a year, with five-year gains near 44%. Across the Vineyard Haven MA Metro, Chilmark's $2,322,845 typical value posted a $17,690 one-year increase, just 0.8%, and a five-year gain of $793,789, up 51.9%. High-end coastal values skipped higher in small steps year over year, but five-year arcs stayed steep. One more lens helps frame near-term expectations. In August 2026, five condo prices fell 3.1% year over year to $540,000, even as condo inventory rose slightly by 0.9%. In September, condo prices increased 1% to $525,000 year over year, and condo inventory rose by 5.1%. Those condo metrics hint at a rebalancing at the margins, possibly as buyers toggle between property types when single-family options remain scarce. Single-family remained the pressure point. In August, inventory fell 3.3% year over year, and in September it fell 4.2%, while new listings rose 1.3% and 7.5% in those months. Signals suggest the single-family market will continue to be more inventory constrained and that pricing discipline will keep deals moving. The transfer fee debate is the policy fulcrum to watch. S1932-7 and H35-6 don't impose a fee statewide, they offer a local option. A community could set the threshold at $1,000 or at the county median sale price for a single-family home, whichever makes sense locally, and choose to raise that threshold. Revenues would be reserved for affordable housing trust funds. In towns like Somerville and Cambridge, cited as having already done practically everything asked to address affordability, the next constraint is capital. With hundreds of millions in federal revenue lost and development-driven linkage fees shrinking, a transfer fee calibrated to luxury transactions could supply more than $200 million a year across the 19 communities that already filed home rule petitions. On the Cape and Islands, where the 22 seasonal communities designation created a framework to respond to second home dominance, policymakers argue that a revenue stream is essential to protect the more than 2,700 year-round units at risk and to add the 740 year-round units the island needs. All of this plays into a broader backdrop of housing wealth geography. Boston's $1.30 trillion market makes it a heavyweight, but the details from Egremont's $51,686 one-year rise, Adams' 8.5% jump, and West Stockbridge's 71.2% five-year gain sketch a counterweight. The concentration of value remains in the core, yet the growth edges point outward. In a state where Weston added $832,165 in 5 years to reach $220,602, where Wellesley added $640,686 to reach $1,969,343, and where Concord added $510,696 to reach $1,439,337. The push for a local option transfer fee isn't about cooling those numbers. It's about channeling some of the surplus at the top, the million-dollar-plus transfers, into the missing middle and the year-round foundation. The base case for the next stretch is grounded in what we saw in August and September 2027-5. Expect active buyers when pricing is balanced. Expect continued competition, where single-family inventory remains 4.2% below last year's level in September, despite a 7.5% rise in new listings. Expect condos to wobble around the $525,000 to $540,000 range seen over those 2 months, with inventory more likely to build than collapse. Expect smaller markets, like those in Berkshire County, to continue attracting attention as 5-year price gains north of 70% become part of buyers' calculations about value, space, and trade-offs. The production gap, 220,000 homes needed by the end of the decade versus more than 90,000 delivered or in the pipeline, will not close quickly. And Massachusetts' 6th lowest per capita permitting rank in 2024 signals that relief will remain slow. 2 watch items matter. First, the fate of S110, 937, and H356. If communities win a local option transfer fee pegged at $1,000 or at county medians, watch how quickly those 19 petitioning cities and towns move, and whether annual revenue crosses that $200 million mark. In Cape and Islands towns, watch whether funds are deployed to preserve the 2,700 at-risk year-round units and to finance pieces of the 740-unit shortfall on Martha's Vineyard. Second, the possible 2026 ballot measure authorizing cities and towns to limit permissible rent increases. If that heads to voters, and if it passes, expect the interplay between rent caps and transfer fee-funded production to shape affordability outcomes in metro corridors like Boston, Cambridge, Newton, MANH, and satellite cities like Somerville. One more number to hold on to. Since February 2020, Boston has added $411 billion in housing market value. That value, and the $55.10 trillion national total tallied in June, is the canvas. The brush strokes are the $53,660 one-year climb in Norwell, the $46,683 rise in Wenham, the $30,224 gain in Gloucester, the $20,736 jump in Adams, and the $17,690 step in Chilmark. The paint dries slowly permits, policy and prices move at their own pace, but the picture is clear. If you found these numbers clarifying, share this with someone in Massachusetts who's trying to make sense of where the next offer should land.